It was a simple story. Came down, nothing fancy, no big deal. The story came from, I believe it was Adrian Wojnarowski who first broke it. And it was that Steph Curry had signed a one-year contract extension with Golden State. I think it was worth about
$60-something million.
$62 million. Yeah.
Crazy.
One-year deal.
Crazy money.
One-year extension on top of the two that he's got left for $62 million. And so now it's like $187 million left on his contract. Okay. And I saw it, and the thing that registered in my brain first was on at least two occasions this summer, maybe more, Bobby Marks has pointed out in like an off-season primer for the Suns that the Phoenix Suns have the ability to do exactly the same thing with Kevin Durant, that he's eligible for a one-year contract extension during this offseason that would tack on an additional year and an additional $60 million to what the Phoenix Suns owe him. And you and I have had conversations about whether they should, what would be the pros, what would be the cons. We even had a really in-depth conversation about does a year added to Kevin Durant's contract make him more untradeable, just as tradable? If you ever decide you want to hit the eject button on Kevin Durant, like does it change the dynamic or whatever? So we just started talking, you and I, off the air about what, if anything, the Steph Curry extension means for Kevin Durant and the Suns.
Yeah.
And it led to some fascinating, like, what-if kind of things when it comes to the Suns and Kevin Durant.
I fully expect that Kevin Durant is going to finish his career with the Phoenix Suns. I expect that he will play beyond the 2 years that are left on the contract. I don't think that Kevin Durant gets to the final year of his contract and is going to play it out and be a free agent. I don't expect that. Here's what I expect. I think that you're either going to see a one-year deal like what Curry got, or if you wait till next year after this season is over, a 2-year deal. So I think I would probably bet on they play this season out. There's no extension of a one-year deal. And then when the season's over, Kevin Durant tacks on 2 more years to stay with the Phoenix Suns. Right now, he is only eligible for a one-year contract extension. Mm-hmm. After next year, he could do 2 years. So I would say, in my opinion, I think it's more likely that we will be talking about a 2-year extension for Durant this time next year. Is it possible they do a 1-year deal? Sure. I wouldn't rule it out. But I'm saying, in my opinion, I think it's more likely that you get to next season, you add 2 more years on, and then Kevin Durant ends up playing this year, next year, and then 2 more years with the Phoenix Suns.
Okay, so this is fascinating now, based off of what your kind of sense is here with this. Okay. As it stands right now, Kevin Durant has 2 years left on his deal. 2 years. We all just sort of assumed that after those 2 years, the Suns' time with Kevin Durant was done. Didn't mean necessarily that Kevin Durant was done in the NBA, just that the Suns, because, Matt Ishbia has said in the past on our show that after, let's give it 2 more years, and then after that, the tax penalties become really, really restrictive. And if it's not working, we might have to take a different tack. We might have to take a different direction here. If he's got 2 years left on his deal, $51 million this year, $55 million next year. He's eligible to sign a 1-year extension, which would pay him another $60 million in what would be, 2025, 2026, I believe is when it's said and done. So if I'm hearing you right, there are 3 options right now that the Phoenix Suns could be considering when it comes to Kevin Durant. One would be do nothing, and he's got 2 years left on his deal. And I don't. That's to you. You don't think that's? I don't think that's a possibility. Okay, so the 2 year. I don't think there's any possibility he just plays 2 years and then leaves. I'm going to mention it as a possibility. Okay. Because I think it's what we assumed was going to happen to Kevin Durant. So I'm just going to leave it sitting there for now. Okay. Yep. He stays for 2 more years and he's done. They give him a 1-year contract extension this offseason, like Curry just got with the Warriors, and he's here for 3 more years. Slight chance, wouldn't rule it out, but I think that that's not the most likely scenario. Or they wait until the end of this season. Yes. Give him a 2-year contract extension. Yes. On top of the year that he's got left on his first contract, right, which would bring a total of 4 more years. So it's either 2, 3, or 4 more years of Kevin Durant. See, now I'm having a hard time wrapping my little brain around this one, okay? Because 4 years of Kevin Durant at that age with, let's be honest, the lack of success they've had with Kevin Durant, because it hasn't exactly been boom times around here, right? Like they got swept by the Minnesota Timberwolves. That seems like an incredible financial commitment to make to a guy without knowing for sure how it's going to turn out or what it's going to lead. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know that
I know
anybody.
He's Kevin Durant, but
do the Warriors know how it's going to turn out with Curry?
But they've already won championships.
Okay, fair.
I mean, it's just different. It can be more of a go gracefully into the sunset of your career kind of thing, because he's got rings to be able to point to. You know,
I think Kevin Durant is still playing the game at the highest level, one of the highest levels he could play at. Has he slipped some? Is he the same player he was when he was with Golden State? No, but man, he's still great. He is still great. He's 35 years old now. He'll be 30, so he's going to be 36 a month from now. He's going to play this season at 36. I think he will play at 37. He'll play at 38. He'll play at 39. So I would say that you're right. Those are the scenarios that you would paint: 2, 3, 4 years. I would lean towards that they will play this season out. There will not be a Curry-like extension of 1 year, and then they will address a 2-year extension next season. Now, financially, that makes a lot of sense, because a 2-year deal is going to be worth a lot more than a 1-year deal with a tack on.
Sure, yeah.
So I think that's what's going to happen.
Lauren just looked it up. The deadline to give him the 1-year extension this year is October 21st. So they would,
it's not out of the realm of possibility.
That's the deadline.
I'm not going to say it's not going to happen, but I think that there's more of a chance that he ends up with a 2-year extension, which would keep him in Phoenix for 4 more years.
Understand that when I say this, this is not a referendum on Kevin Durant's individual greatness. Kevin Durant's great. He has not slipped. He played as full a season as anybody could have expected him to play last year in terms of the number of games and how well he played. I'm not talking about him individually. I'm talking about his fit here and whether they can win with him here, and whether they're setting themselves up to win with him. You know what I mean? Like it's not. This isn't about, will Kevin Durant age? I believe Kevin Durant will age enormously gracefully, if that's the right way to put it. I think he will. I think, and I've said this to you over the summer, I think whether he's in the NBA or not, Kevin Durant is still playing for Team USA 4 years from now, because I think basketball-wise, he'll still be very, very good.
That would line him up to play for Team USA and then retire.
It would, but even if he had retired, I still think he could play for Team USA before the 4 years.
But it would line him up to actually finish his career and then go finish at the Olympics.
But if they're not having team success,
that's the circumstances that we don't see. Right? These are the underlying. That's the point. They get blown out in the first round of the playoffs next year, too, and Devin Booker wants out. Do you still want to keep Kevin Durant, or do you want to try to trade him and start over? Like, there are scenarios in which I don't know. The factor here is that everything goes well. They're still competitive. They have a chance to win, and you've got a chance to keep one of the greatest players in the history of the game on your team because he wants to be here.
But I don't think that's the factor. I think the factor is how they do as a team. Because if they do the same thing this year that they did last year, win 49 to 53 games, but get bounced in the first round, whether Devin Booker wants out or not, I think the question is, are he and Kevin Durant a good fit to take the Suns where they need to go? And if they're not, I don't know if I want to go tacking on 2 more years to Kevin Durant, because I just don't know if the basketball results will justify that. I don't think the basketball results will have justified what ultimately would Kevin Durant have been responsible for in the 3 postseasons he was here. Second-round loss to the Nuggets, a first-round loss to the Timberwolves, and then whatever happened this year. Now, this year, if they get to the Western Conference Finals, if things go the way they're supposed to, then sure, let's talk about keeping Kevin Durant around. I guess my point is, you almost have to see how the season goes, and in particular, how the playoffs go, before you make that kind of commitment to Kevin Durant. In my opinion,
then that's a good way to play it out. Like, hey, if things go really well this year, they have success, they make it to the NBA Finals, they make it to the Western Conference Finals, they lose in 7 games. Okay, now that's another year. Would you then sign Durant to a 2-year deal and say, I'll have him here for 3 years?
I might. You
might be more inclined to do it if you have that type of success.
I'd be definitely less inclined to not do it if they don't have that kind of success, without question.
Thanks for watching Burns Gambo. Click to see more from the guys and hit the button in the middle to subscribe so you never miss a video from Arizona sports.